Minimalism is dead. No, actually, that's way too generous. Minimalism isn't dead, it is taxidermied, preserved, posted on Instagram like it's still alive. And somehow, we have reached a point where designers are designing minimalism about minimalism. That is what we're talking about today. Meta-minimalism, what it is, why it exists, and why it feels like graphic design is becoming self-aware in the weirdest way possible. Okay, so before we spiral completely, we need to get our definitions straight, because people love throwing around terms like minimalism, post-minimalism, and now meta-minimalism like it's all the same thing. It is not even close. So let's rewind a little bit. Minimalism in graphic design, true minimalism, is all about reduction, stripping things away. It is about only leaving what is absolutely essential. No fluff, no decoration, no noise, just clarity. It is the graphic design equivalent to someone walking in a room and asking, why is all this stuff here? And then aggressively removing half of it. We are talking about clean grids, strong typography, very limited color palettes, and very much intentional white space. Minimalism is very confident. It doesn't need to prove anything. It just is. And when it's done right, it's absolutely timeless. That is why so many luxury brands follow this philosophy. But here's where things start to go sideways. Because at some point, minimalism, it stopped becoming a philosophy and it became an aesthetic. And that is where the problem begins. So then we get post-minimalism. Post-minimalism, it's actually like minimalism's younger rebellious sibling that moved abroad, had a personality crisis, and then came back with all these clashing patterns. It takes the rules of minimalism and bends them and breaks them, questions why the rules are even there in the first place. And honestly, the easiest way that I've seen this explained, thank you TikTok, minimalism is very type A and post-minimalism is very much type B. Minimalism is organized, controlled, color-coded, probably has a label maker. Post-minimalism, she's creative, a little chaotic, leaves like 5 tabs in her brain open at all times. And yet somehow it all still works. You will still see some form of simplicity, but there's also experimentation. Heavy experimentation. There's texture, imperfections, a little bit of that human emotion creeping back in. Post-minimalism says, okay, yeah, we like clean design, but what if we throw in a little bit of chaos? Just to add flavor, you know? And honestly, this phase makes sense because design movements, they always react to what came before them. Minimalism got too rigid. It got too sterile, too obsessed with perfection. So post-minimalism kind of loosened things up. It brought back the personality. It reminded us all that design is allowed to feel human. And now we arrive at the main character of today's existential crisis, meta-minimalism. Meta-minimalism isn't just minimalism. It is reacting to minimalism like post-minimalism does. Meta-minimalism is aware of minimalism. It is minimalism that knows it's minimalism. Let that sink in for a minute. This is where design starts to feel like a little self-referential, a little ironic, a little like, we're all in on this joke, right? Because meta-minimalism is trying to be purely functional. It is referencing the idea of minimalism. So what does that actually look like in practice? It looks like over-exaggerated white space that feels very much intentional, almost a little sarcastic. Like it's white space, but it's very exaggerated. It is tiny type that is technically readable, but clearly not prioritizing readability. We are talking about layouts that mimic clean design, but break the rules just enough to feel slightly off. It is design that feels like a commentary on minimalism, rather than the actual execution of it. It is like a designer sat down and said, what if we make the design minimal, but make it aware that it's minimal? It's subtle, it's clever, and it's a little bit pretentious. And yes, I say that with all the love in the world. Okay, so here's the real question. Why are we here? Why did we evolve from clean functional design to design that feels very ironic? There are a few reasons, but the first one is oversaturation. Minimalism became everywhere. every brand, every website, every portfolio to where everything looked the same. At some point, clean stopped feeling fresh and started feeling boring. So designers had to find a way to stand out. Enter meta-minimalism. It is familiar, but it's just weird enough to catch your attention. And second, design literacy has increased. People are more visually aware now. Audiences understand design trends more than ever. So, designers are no longer just communicating messages. They are communicating about the design itself. And meta-minimalism, it plays on that awareness. It assumes that the viewer gets the reference. Third, the internet loves irony. Let's be honest. We're living in an era where sincerity and irony are always fighting for dominance. And meta-minimalism, it thrives in that space. It's not fully serious, but it's not ironic either. It exists kind of in that uncomfortable middle ground. One where you're like, wait, is this genius or is it just a joke? And the answer is usually yes. Okay, now we rant. Because while meta-minimalism is interesting, it's kind of dangerous, and here's why. It prioritizes concept over communication. Minimalism originally existed to make things clearer, easier to understand, more efficient. And meta-minimalism, it somehow does the opposite of that. It sacrifices usability for the sake of being clever. And look, I love clever design, I really do. But if your audience has to work to understand it, that I don't love. Design is not just about self-expression, it's about communication. And when the message gets lost in meta commentary, what are we even doing? And another issue, it could feel performative. Meta-minimalism can sometimes come across like a designer that's trying to prove that they're in the know. Like, look how aware I am of all these design trends. And again, nothing wrong with being aware. But when that awareness becomes the main point, it starts to feel a little pretentious and hollow. And then this is my big problem with it. It can be very exclusionary. Because if we don't understand the reference, then the design doesn't land. Minimalism is universal. It was accessible. Meta-minimalism, not so much. It is like an inside joke for designers. And if you're not in the club, then you're just confused. Here's my honest answer. It is both. Meta-minimalism isn't inherently bad. In fact, when it's done well, it can be incredibly smart and layered. It pushes design forward, it challenges expectations. It keeps things from getting stagnant. But, and this is a big but, it requires restraint. Because it is so easy to cross that line of thoughtful and self-aware to trying too hard. If you're a designer watching this, and I know a lot of you are, here's my take. Use meta-minimalism intentionally. Ask yourself, does the idea serve the message? Am I being clever or am I being confusing? Is the audience going to get this or am I designing for other designers? Because there's the difference, and it really matters. Also, this is very important. Don't forget the fundamentals. You can't break the rules effectively unless you understand them first. Meta-minimalism only works when it's built on a strong foundation. And by foundation, I mean the design principles. Otherwise, it just looks like bad design. What is really fascinating about meta-minimalism is what it says about design culture. We've reached a point where design isn't just about solving problems. It is about reflecting on itself. It is layered, it's self-aware, it's like philosophical. And honestly, that's very exciting, but also very terrifying. Because it means that we're entering an era where the line between design and commentary is getting very, very thin. So no, minimalism isn't dead. It is evolving, it's fragmented. It is becoming this weird spectrum that ranges from functionality to self-referential commentary. And meta-minimalism sits right on that edge of that spectrum, questioning everything, including itself. And I don't know about you, but I feel like it says a lot more about the designers than the style itself. All right, rant over. That's all I have for now. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like. Subscribe for more videos just like this because I make them every single week. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!